Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on episode number 6 of the Modern Christian Dad podcast. We hope to encourage you, entertain you, and just lift you up each and every podcast. Don't forget, you can always give us a comment, give us a shout out at modernchristiandads@gmail.com. Support our show. You can hit the support button. Just listen, share it, enjoy the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome into the Modern Christian Dads podcast. I'm Jeremiah Johnson alongside my co-host here, Kelly Stevens.
Good afternoon.
Welcome back into the show. You were a little sick there on us.
I was, but I'm much better now.
You made me go solo, but I made it through, I think so.
Well, I was here in spirit.
Right. So anyway, hey, we are so glad that you're here on the Modern Christian Dads podcast. We hope to encourage you, entertain you, just lift you up a little bit, give you a good word from the Lord. So thank you for joining us. We're just talking news, sports, and God. That's where we're all a couple dudes, right?
That's right.
So we're just going to dive right in it today. And, there's nothing more than I love than a great piece of steak.
Oh, now you're talking music to me. I love that.
And you're going to be an expert on this because you've worked in the restaurant industry a little bit. But let me digress just a moment. I grew up in Nebraska. I believe there's good beef.
Does Nebraska know anything about good beef? Does good beef come from there?
Nebraska beef is very good, but I've actually lived in the center of the country. I've lived on the West Coast, and I've lived on the East Coast. But I believe the best beef is no doubt in the heart of the Midwest.
I would 100% agree with that.
And the worst by far, West Coast, California. It was hard to get good beef out there, really.
It's made with tofu.
Something that's not good. Corn, whatever, but not good steak out there. I remember I had a guy in our church, I was a youth pastor at one time. He took his daughter to Evangel University in Springfield, Missouri, and he came back raving about the steaks that he ate every single day at Denny's of all places.
At Denny's?
Yeah, he was like, whoa, this steak. I'm like, there's better steak places than Denny's.
Anywhere.
But that's how bad the beef is in the West Coast, and he thought Denny's steak was the most amazing thing that he's
come on,
ever
brother.
eaten
I
in his
need
life.
to educate you.
So anyway, let's dive into this. I found an article, 8 cheap beef cuts so good you'll swear off ribeye. Now, that actually is my favorite piece of steak, the ribeye. What's your favorite?
Ribeye. It's got some of the best marbling through it, and that's where you get your flavor.
All right, because you get that fat in there.
That's
you can't
right.
have a good piece of steak without some fat in there. Marbling, I like that. I've never heard that. So here's what they're saying, all right? They give us a list here. Let's go through them. Let's get your take on this, Kelly. You're a restaurant guy. They start off saying chuck steak, flat iron steak, chuck eye steak. Let's go through those 3 first. Are you agreeing with that, disagreeing?
Well, you know what? Those are good, but they're not the choice cut.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. If you know how to cook, you can cook these and make these taste fantastic.
And they'll be good.
Yes.
How do you do it?
With a lot of them, it's slow cooking, putting a sear on them first,
Okay.
and then slow cooking them a little bit, and letting that marbling in it kind of ooze out, break down in throughout the meat. That's where you get your good flavor.
Okay, so what's the cheapest, best meat then that you can make? Because the one thing I know is you can't make a bad piece of meat taste good. No matter how you cook it, no matter what you slap on it, it's not a good piece of meat.
Well, a lot of it is just due to the amount of gristle or skin that's going through it, tendons. That will make it tough. Obviously, in meat, if you have tough cuts of meat like that, the best way to cook it is always slow and long.
All right. And then it had a petite tender, tri-tip sirloin steak, beef shank, Denver steaks, merlot. Is that pronounced correctly? Have you ever heard of that one?
That one I had never heard of. That was new to me.
Okay. So what's your best piece of advice? If we can't afford the ribeye, wife has cut the budget back on us a little bit. What do we get?
I like the tri-tip.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we used to serve this at my dad's restaurant when it was still open. It was a steakhouse. He's since retired and sold the restaurant. But we used to do a lot of the tri-tip. And one of the better ways of fixing that was butterflying it, cutting it in half and just kind of folding it over to where it wasn't quite as thick. But we always would put a really good sear on it, season it with butter and Lowry seasoning salt, just keeping it simple. And then the other big tip that I can tell you, and all these guys out there that want to order a steak well done, That's not what you do, brother. Don't order it well done.
Yeah.
Medium rare, medium at the most. And I know I'm going to get some flack from some of those guys. It's like I don't want my meat raw, but
right, because it continues. Right? Isn't this the theory? Is even after it's cooked, it continues to cook.
It will cook a half a degree to another degree higher than just what you just pulled it off of the plate. Back in my restaurant days, when speed was of the essence, you wanted to get your steak out. Sometimes we'd run a special saying 10 minutes are free. That was a big promotion. Now you you didn't want to give it away. So anyway, what we would do a lot of times is cook it to a half a degree of what it was supposed to, what the customer had asked for. Put it on a hot steel, and by the time it got out to the table, it would be the temp that they wanted it.
Kelly, this is the most informed you've ever sounded on the show so far.
You know what? I'm comfortable right here.
We're just going to talk steak, which I would be fine with. Interesting, the tri-tip. Now, here's what's interesting for me. Tri-tip, they did that a lot in California. It was actually very expensive, the tri-tip, because it'd always be like $12 to $14 for that piece. But I've never seen it in Nebraska. I've never seen that cut. I even asked a butcher one time. I said, "You got any tri-tip?" And he didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, most of your butchers are not going to, they're going to take that stuff and they're going to put it into hamburger, just grind it up. Because, they're obviously going for the choice cuts.
But it was amazing. A tri-tip is good.
I love
That's a good.
Yeah.
So we're excited. One day down the road, we'll very soon have our first Modern Christian Dads barbecue.
Oh, let's do that today.
Although it's raining outside. So there you go. Enjoy, so what was the final conclusion there? The best cheaper cut of steak outside of ribeye?
I'm going to go with the tri-tip.
Okay, the tri-tip. All right. There you go. All right, moving on. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one because we're not negative guys. I mean, we do, poke fun at people a little bit here on the show every once in a while, but I thought this was very interesting. This article said why Christian movies are so terrible. It's I would definitely say in the last 5 years there's been some good Christian movies, Fireproof, and there's been some ones that are pretty good overall, but yet it seems that we struggle to still make solid blockbuster Christian movies. What's your take on that?
Well, sometimes it's the script, the way it reads, I think, and then also they don't always use some of the best videography. I don't, it just doesn't seem like that's
budget. Maybe
good.
Not have the big bucks of the big Hollywood stars have.
I would say that I can't think of the two brothers' names that made like Courageous and stuff. I think them guys have done a fantastic job. Yeah. And there's been some good movies that's come out over the last year or two that were maybe not Christian movies, but had a really good kind of Christian message to it. And those have been fantastic. You
have a favorite Christian, quote-unquote, Christian movie of all time? For me, it comes to like the Fireproof guys. Those guys, facing the giants.
Those were right up there around my favorites. Now this one will probably be a little bit controversial because there'll be somebody out there that's going to say you're not a Christian. But the Shack, I like.
I love the Shack.
I like the Shack.
Point.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, that's a great. I probably put that number one on my list. There is the Avengers. Is that a Christian movie? No, just kidding. Okay.
Anyway, no, but check the message. The message.
So anyway, but I think that's interesting. I do hope that they keep making more Christian movies. I think that probably the bottom line for me is that there's sometimes I want to just go laugh or have a good time.
Yep.
Or see a good action movie, and it tends to be the Christian movies are always kind of so serious and somber and emotional and
right.
Sometimes I just want to see someone get punched in the face or
dudes do not want to cry. I don't want to go to a movie and cry.
So anyway, but God bless all of our movie makers, give them creativity and all those kind of things. And so anyway, all right, moving on into some news that's happening in our neck of the woods. We've actually talked about this before, and I came across this article again. But these are actual retailers that are closing the most stores in 2019. So we've talked about the whole online movement. Amazon is just exploding day by day. I even noticed in our city, have you noticed this? There's a city next to us called Web City. And if you go into the super Walmart there, they're doing the whole pickup Amazon type feel. You walk into that store, there's this huge conveyor tunnel. Have you seen this?
I haven't been in that store
You go
yet.
into that store, you walk into it, and then you hit a button or enter in the product that you ordered online, and it's like, and it comes through this giant portal thing. And
How
it looks
much
like
did we pay for those sound
yeah,
effects?
I mean,
we paid a lot for that.
it looks like it comes up. You don't know. Is it coming through the ceiling or is it through the ground? But I guess it's this like giant tube where all the orders are stuffed in there for the day, and it like magically comes to you. It's really cool. You gotta go
Seriously?
check.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
we don't have it here in our city, but in the next store. So anyway, all that to say, online movement once again is just exploding day by day by day, which means now all these retailers, stores are coming to a close. So this had a list of like 20. I'm just going to highlight a few. The first one was Target, closing 6 stores of their total 1,822 stores. Target announced in October 2018 plans to shut, it says shutter in this article here, 6 underperforming locations in February 2019. Most closures will be in the Midwest. One will be in New York, another Memphis, Tennessee. However, Target closures will be more than offset by a total of 20 new locations. But Target's a very interesting because they've had a little bit of controversy, the bathrooms, etc.
Exactly. Just thinking about these stores, capitalism is fantastic, and with that, there's always you're either going to have to grow, change, do something different because supply and demand, customers, they demand certain things. So you're always going to have to reinvent what's going on. And I don't think this is all bad. I think this is healthy for some of them.
I put Target on there just for fun because here's a story I want to tell about Target. Unfortunately, my life, like many people, is always consumed by Super Walmart. And going to Walmart's the store we have in our town is closest to my house. I just go there. But Target, have you ever seen the articles? We don't have the audio or the video. We do have the video version of the show. But have you ever seen the articles of real life photos that happened in Walmart? These crazy pictures of people in pajamas. And
yes. And a lot of that's true. I used to work asset security for Walmart several years ago, and it's amazing what you see.
So I would. Every once in a while, I would go into Target because you will notice the significant difference. If you go into Target, it's like people smell nicer, like women actually like brush their hair and put on makeup. It's very refreshing to walk into a Target every once in a while as opposed to Walmart. Try it sometime. It's scientifically. You walk in there, you're like, wow, why do people look so much nicer here?
We just threw Walmart under the bus.
Yeah,
didn't we?
anyway, but I go there, and sometimes I literally do not need to go to Walmart, and then I drive to the parking lot and park. I'm like, I don't need to come here. Why? But it's just
drawn.
Yeah. So Lowe's is another one. Kmart is on there. How about Kmart and Shopko? That seems like I haven't seen one of those for days. A Kmart and a Shopko.
I've been in a Kmart, but a Shopko I'd never heard of. Matter of fact, just when I was reading over our list here, I had never heard of that store.
Of which one?
Shopko.
Never heard of Shopko.
Never.
I think that's kind of I always assumed it to be kind of a Midwesty kind of store. It's kind of a Walmart, Kmart-ish type place.
I'm a dude, and I don't do much shopping. I like to hang out in the woods and the creeks and the hills.
Yeah. So anyway, but the number one on the list was Gymboree, closing 900 of 900 stores. Gymboree will be no more, which I'm grateful for that. My kids are 4 years old. I guess they could still, I think Gymboree still sells clothes. But you ever been in this store before, Gymboree?
Never been.
This is one of these places where it's like, they try to sell like cute kids t-shirts for like $35 with